I've got a bit of an impromptu lesson for you today because my daughter's been sick off school all week and I haven't really had much chance to prepare. And last night I was just surfing YouTube and I saw this video of FLEA jamming on his very cool vintage Fender Precision. And he was doing this. He recorded it into a looping pedal. You can hear him clicking down on the pedal. Something like a TC Electronic Ditto would be brilliant for that. And I recorded this into my DAW. I've got it going right now. And this is such a brilliant thing to practice to for improvisation, practicing scales, technique, jamming, all of this kind of stuff. So I'm going to take you through a few things this week. Maybe you're like me, you don't really have much time in a week and you don't really have much thought about what to do. This can really help you. So here I have this in the background. You can almost play any note and start a springboard of an improvisation there. So the notes, by the way, are Ds. I'm playing an open D and then the octave higher on the 7th fret of the G string, copying FLEA exactly, and he was plucking with the index and middle fingers. And that's the loop. He then layers some stuff over that, but I'm sticking with just Ds, and then you can do anything. So the first thing I want to talk about is intervals and how you can use this to help your ears become better, get trained. So there is a D on the 12th fret of the D string where the double dot is. This also, I mean, there's so many things I discovered as I was going that this helps you with, and I'll try and highlight them as we go. It's very good for breaking out of just one part of the bass and moving into different territories. So there's the D. I didn't really mean to start with this, but whatever, it doesn't really matter what you play. 13th fret of the G string. That's a G sharp. Now that is a sharp 4 or a tritone. It's an interval. There's the distance between the D and the G sharp, and it's that very angsty sound. Then you can practice your scales. So you might not know this, but that note features in something called a Lydian mode. That's what it is. I'll play it slowly. I don't have any time for tab or fretboard diagrams this week, so you'll have to look at my hands, or you could consider checking out my music theory course that has all of these shapes in and more. Just playing around with it opens up that door to that sound. If I just play something a bit more traditional, major scale. That's a perfect fourth. The D to the G. It's the G sharp that gives it that angsty Lydian quality. But coming back to major. Do you know the D major scale starting from there? It would be like this. Another one to play around with is major pentatonic. FLEA does that in that jam, if you go and have a listen to it. So it's D, E, F sharp, A, B. so as not to really bore you with that going on, I'll stop every now and again and explain something. So why don't you do that? I mean, you don't have to do it in D, by the way. You can do it in any key. Since we're talking about D, take a very simple major pentatonic, frets 12, 14, 16 on the D string in this key, and 14, 16 on the G string. D, E, F sharp, A, B. And just get your fingers moving around. Do some different techniques like slides. That's what I was doing there. Hold the note, maybe play some vibrato. At this speed, it's sort of like 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. So you can go. You can do 16th notes. At this very slow speed, you can do that. 16th note triplets. But slow it down. I find this kind of thing is really useful for playing different scales. There, I morphed into a different one. D Mixolydian. Now, I don't think Flea's thinking about this when he's jamming. I don't think many people do. But just as a practice tool, that's what I'm thinking about. I've just played D Lydian. I've played D major or D Ionian. I hate sometimes saying these names. They're a bit confusing. And then D Mixolydian. All different sounds. This Mixolydian, it goes like this. I'll play it slowly. It's the same as the major scale. It just has a flat 7. And that sound really mellows the whole thing out. Another thing is to play around with famous melodies. I'll come back to that Mixolydian. Listen to this. Norwegian Wood, that is a Mixolydian melody. And as I was exploring this on my own before the lesson, I kind of found that. And so you can play famous melodies along to the backing and it just sounds pleasing, it sounds good. And then you might think, oh, that sounds like Mixolydian. You'll force yourself into that sort of practice of maybe playing that mode. Not just staying with one scale, just practicing a few different ones. Perhaps you could play it in a different way as well. Here is 3 notes per string. I'm going basically 10, 12, 14 fret numbers on the E, the A, and the D. And then do 11, 12, 14 on the G. You get all those notes around that portion of the neck for that particular sound, that mode. And then you can do really cool things. Three notes per string patterns allow you to play quite fast if you can get the stretch going. Going 1, 2, 4. Now I'm talking finger numbers all the way there. It really lends itself well to alternate plucking. And another thing I did, once I learned that shape, you miss out a note every time and you get an arpeggio. That's when you go up in thirds. 1, 3, 5, 7, and you can keep going. So now I'm talking about extending arpeggios, extended arpeggios, over the Ds, Just at the end there, I did a major pentatonic. Just sounds so open. I love that sound. I always come back to it. It's really good. All I did there was an extended arpeggio where you've got a D7, then it's a 9, then an 11, then a 13. As I said to you, this is an impromptu lesson. I'm going to talk about chords now. The one thing that is a bit lacking when you do this kind of thing, it's a bit repetitive and monotonous, but you know, we're working within the constraints of that. But you can play some chords around that. So you've got like a pedal going and then you change the chords. Or arpeggios. I'm sticking to D major here. That's D major 7. That's E minor 7. These are just arpeggios from D major. I'll put a lesson here explaining that. Next one, F sharp minor. And you use those ideas as a springboard. So D major 7, E minor 7, F sharp minor 7. And you can just play around with those. They sound really good. I'm going to move to minor now. It's too happy at the moment. So now we're D minor pentatonic, D minor blues scale, or D natural minor. You can do whatever you like. You can feel this any way you like. So thanks to FLEA for the inspiration. I mean, one of my favourite bass players from an early age, but he rescued me this week because didn't really have any ideas for lessons. And that's where you can come in, because if you do have any ideas for a song you want to learn, a technique, maybe something I mentioned today that you didn't quite grasp and you want me to do a lesson on that, you need to get in touch with me. Best way is probably in the comments below. And I read them all, I reply, and, you know, that's just what I do. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you got something from that lesson. Explore it, you know, take one or two ideas and see what happens.